Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fantasy match preview. This one's for maybe you will call it a dead game, but we'll call it an ideal game for GL
Hmm.
between Birmingham and Northern Superchargers. And a warm welcome to all of you.
Hello, hello. Yes, so far we've been good. Thankfully, the 100, despite the drop catches, thoda line pe aa raha hai. So let's hope it continues to be the case today. Uh, Again, one of those prime examples yesterday why we keep picking safe guys in the YouTube video because that's what happens when you have safe guys working. Because see, he was on like 30 odd, and then
Hmm.
they dropped a catch 20 odd, and they dropped a catch, and then he scored 30 more. तो गेम पूरा चेंज हो जाता है इसके लिए वी सजेस्ट यू द सेफेस्ट ऑप्शंस फर्स्ट so that we can afford to take risk. If we lose, it's okay. We don't want you to lose your money because of our suggestion or our last minute gut feel. So yes, which is why we say keep going with your gut feel. जो आपको लगे होगा उसके साथ जाइए. Don't worry, back your instincts.
Yes, absolutely. And hence, we have created a base team. We have
Yeah,
certain thoughts to share with you based on that too. So, we'll
yeah,
start by discussing that and then we can skip to what we feel other risks you can take. So in the keeping section, we have gone with Matthew Wade. Obviously, because Benjamin didn't open in the last few games, Michael Pepper has not looked in the best sort of touch. So Matthew Wade looks like our best possible option currently. Do you feel like you'll take Chris Benjamin in any scenario, Nikhil bhai?
uh, Benjamin, if you're very sure he's going to bat up the order, then definitely yes. I think they tried Hammond to protect Will Smith also.
Hmm.
So we see these things are happening, and so that's the only risk that you have to take with somebody like him. कि भाई नहीं है तो it will cost you a big one. So maybe in your base team, in your small league team, maybe you don't take him because ये batting order changes are not predictable. Ideally, Matthew Wade should be opening.
Hmm.
So again, that's not going to happen. So again, that's the thing. If you feel okay, between Wade and Benjamin, Wade will not open and Benjamin will open and he'll do well, especially in
Hmm.
chase. Maybe you can do that. But I think safest option will remain Wade.
Right. And do you feel like the Northern Superchargers will come in with any sort of off spinner because Birmingham have a lot of lefties? So do you see any part-time option there or anyone who's going to bowl because Lyth can't bowl?
Yeah, Alam Lith can't bowl and Wahab Riaz is also ruled out of the entire tournament, I think, due to the injury.
Hmm.
So their new ball options and death bowling options are now very scarce. Similar to what happened with Brave, I think, where we expected Fuller to play a key role, and he did, but Garden was not interested. तो again वो तो अपने हाथ में नहीं है. So very interesting to see if they get one of the middle order batters to bowl.
Hmm.
Uh, Brook has bowled a bit, but not too much. He could be the Tristan Stubbs, who knows. पर so that is the only option. इसके अलावा अगर कोई और आता है तो that will be interesting to see.
Right. So we have gone with four batting options for now: Will Smith, Livingston, Faf, and Lyth. We are very tempted to drop one of Lyth or Faf for Harry Brook, but that will be a call we'll take based on the conditions and based on what we have in terms of final information of the lineups.
Yes, the thing with Faf is he should ideally not have anybody to trouble him,
Hmm.
especially in this particular game. But doesn't have a great record at Edgbaston.
At the
But
ground,
sample
yeah.
size, yeah, but the sample size is very less. So again, that's the reason why we've kept him in the side, और वो भी catches
Hmm.
भी बहुत लेता है. तो we've been talking about people getting good games one after the other. तो फाफ का गेम आना बाकी है. एक गेम अच्छा आ गया वैसे भी. So
Hmm.
you never know if that second game comes along very quickly because as such there is no left arm pacer to bother him. So if he gets going, then he should be fine. But if not, तो थोड़ा risk होगा starting.
ठीक है तो अभी के लिए we'll slot him in
Yeah,
and we have gone with three all-rounders Willie, Ali and Howell. Now
yeah.
David Visa does not look like he's back in yet, right? So do you feel like you'll take someone like Vandermeer or these are just purely the best choices at the moment because they, like we mentioned, they have a lot of left-handers, so Vandermeer might not just play at all.
Yeah, exactly. तो वो एक risky option है ही. I'm sure
Hmm.
there might be a few changes because both teams have lost a lot of games. So
Hmm.
it will be interesting to see how they make up, whether they make a strategic change or not. Otherwise, I feel these guys are the best possible options, safest options to take. Or again, very tricky game for small league. वापस एक दो प्लेयर या आपका कैप्टन वाइस कैप्टन गेम डिसाइड कर लेगा. तो बी वेरी स्मार्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ योर इन्वेस्टमेंट. रिस्क
Hmm.
भी ले रहे हो तो सही लीग ज्वाइन करो सो दैट द रिस्क पेज ऑफ.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, the three bowlers Bravo, Rashid, and Tom Helm. So, any differential from this section? Maybe today is the day Imran Tahir can capture maybe a slightly relatively weaker middle order.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if Tahir opens the bowling also to somebody like a
Hmm.
Faf or an Adam Lith, just to throw in that surprise factor really up top. क्योंकि rest if you see the bowling, the two teams are very meh or ordinary kind of in
Iffy.
terms of their
Yeah.
consistency. So that is the
Hmm.
risk that you have to take कि अगर आप जिसको ड्रॉप कर रहे हो अगर वही बंदा चल गया तो बहुत दुख होगा. So I think safest option would be to go with the tried and tested informed guys, and then
Hmm.
post toss if you feel there are specific things that you want to try. जैसे Bravo अब तक he hasn't quite he's taken wickets, but he
Not
hasn't
in the
looked
back.
himself. हाँ
Hmm.
तो अगर first innings कर रहा है and you want to take that risk with say Willie and Bravo as a combination, you can do that, but only for grand leagues.
Right. So I guess that settles our base team for now. And we feel like if there's any off spin option, which is currently not on the table, but we feel like if there is any, they might come in for the Northern
Yeah.
Superchargers today.
Yep.
And captaincy and vice captaincy, I feel like Ali has been slightly hesitant to bowl himself a lot because we discussed in the Welsh game there were a lot of lefties, but he still just ended
Still
up
good.
bowling a few balls. So,
Yeah.
how do you tackle such a scenario? Do you go with David Willey? But then there's also the threat that again, if Ali bowls to him, it makes it risky.
So I think that's the risk that you will have to run. Again, as I said, batting first, I'll probably be tempted to stick with Moeen Ali because it
Hmm.
has worked for me like a lifetime. जितना भी मोइन अली के साथ खेला हूँ, पहले
Hmm.
बैटिंग करते समय I think मोइन अली is a safer option. So him and Livingston make a good pair. Livingston, the last time I think these two sides played, he scored a 90 odd.
Hmm.
So if that again happens, then great, because I'm sure most of the guys will have these two guys only as their options. पर अगर पहले बॉलिंग करती है नॉर्दर्न सुपर चार्जर्स और आप बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट हो डेविड विली के नए बॉल विकेट के, क्योंकि
Hmm.
सी माय ओनली प्रॉब्लम विद दिस एंटायर टूर्नामेंट इज द यूसेज ऑफ bowling. Last game, David Willie created an early chance but did not get to bowl for a long period of time, and that is stupidity. That is something that you and me cannot counter for. So,
Right.
which is why it's probably safer to go with guys all rounders. Benny Howell has a great record at this venue.
Hmm.
So, if you want to try Benny Howell last game, also he did fairly well. So, he could be a handy vice captain option too.
Yes, so for now, I think Ali and Willie look like the best choices. And then maybe
Yeah.
there are conditional picks like Bravo if he's bowling first. And how do you see Rashid versus Livingston and Ali playing out?
To be honest, Rashid hasn't quite troubled too many people
Hmm.
in this entire tournament, but that's also to do with the kind of scores that he has had, or the tactics that the management has employed. So, and Rashid usually, I don't remember the last time he took 3 or 4 wickets. It's max one or two if the batsman is taking too many risks. तो यूजुअली एक विकेट से आपका काम निकल जाता है. तो
Hmm.
बट अगेन इट्स इज अ सेफर ऑप्शन कि आपको एक विकेट का तो एटलीस्ट गारंटी हो. बाकी आई फील दे शुड बी एबल टू मूव हिम अराउंड. फिर अगर कंडीशन स्लो है तो देन ही बिकम्स अ डेंजरस ऑप्शन, बट then it becomes even more important to back Moeen and Livingston because they can also bowl and they could also give you contributions with a bat. So then it becomes a different battle altogether.
Yes, so you're saying like a lot of rotations is what is
Yeah.
going to be the key in this game because that's what it looks like currently.
Yes.
So we'll take some questions, guys, and then maybe we can move to the other information like the pitch and the ground dimensions. So you can let us know
Yep.
if you guys have any questions currently.
Yeah, I think the women's game will be a handy guide. So far, runs have been scored, and अब तक तो स्पिन इतना ज़्यादा इफ में नहीं है, तो लेट्स सी.
Hmm. Yes. So the edge pass. Okay, everyone's asking for the pitch only. So I'll just show the ground 1 minute. So this is the dimensions for the Edgbaston cricket ground, and the square boundaries is what the real highlight here is, because they're quite short. On one end 63, and the other end also for someone like Ali or Livingston is not big at all at 69. So does that make spin slightly tougher challenge, like in terms for the bowling? Like, do you feel like they can get hit around a little more, because even some of the straight boundaries are quite short?
Yeah, they can, but as we keep saying, it's all on what the 22 yards are. If they
Hmm.
are okay, if they are fine enough, then maybe you will want to take more all-rounders kind of bowling. But अगर pitch में grip है, तो then it doesn't matter कितना भी छोटा boundary हो. If the bowler is bowling the right lane, he can still take wickets. Again, ये टूर्नामेंट में इतना ज़्यादा डेटा और लॉजिक नहीं चला है, तो
Hmm.
प्लीज maybe we should not overthink also, especially for this particular tournament. But yeah, again, that's logically ऐसा होता है. बाकी तो you know how good the league is.
Right, absolutely. And we have a free entry contest for all of
Yep,
you to join today as well. So ensure that you guys do that. The link is in the description for you guys to join that contest. Like you can see here, there's a free entry contest up to 900 winners. And apart from that, there's also the leaderboard contest where you can join with 30% bonus cash. Again, if you register with the link below, you get the bonus cash as well. So you can
yep,
take that from the description of this video.
बिल्कुल.
And
I
questions.
think yep. And also as we said, rotations इस गेम में काफी कर सकते हो आप, क्योंकि मोस्ट लाइकली सबकी बेस टीम्स सेम ही होंगी. So
Hmm.
if you are able to crack a good combination, you will be able to rank very good nicely in the leaderboard contest. And if nothing, now you have enough proof. You should definitely try out second innings fantasy, because I have been shouting, not from the top of the terrace, but from my room, that please play. It's much easier to counter the situations, counter the possible scenarios. And despite yesterday, despite not having Tristan stops, both Viren and me did well. And अगर एक भी अगर चेंज आगे पीछे करते तो शायद 2000 शेयर कर लेते. बट दैट्स हाउ good and easy it is to crack second innings fantasy.
Yep, and that option will open up for you as soon as the first innings
Yeah,
begins. So if you don't see it right now, don't worry. So like you can see for the women's game, the second innings fantasy is open on their app. As soon as the first innings begins here for the men's game, again the second innings will automatically open up. Same for the West Indies New Zealand game too. So you guys can join it in
yeah,
that way.
बिल्कुल.
How will good captain option if bowling
Yeah,
first? Yes, absolutely. So I guess we discussed that already, that we feel like you can make him captain, vice captain, especially because Superchargers bottom finishing order is not that strong.
yeah. And it's also been in form, तो एक फॉर्म बंदे को बैक करना, it's not bad. You can do that.
अ, इसमें स्पिनर का क्या काम? मोइन अली और लिविंगस्टन को टीम में मत लो, वो साइड विन करेंगे तो। एक बात है, राइट, हमने उनको बॉलिंग के लिए नहीं लिया ना सिर्फ। आप, आई थिंक आप ग्राउंड डायमेंशंस देख के बोल रहे हो, बट मेन तो उनका रोल बैटिंग का है। हमने उनको लिया हुआ बैटिंग के लिए, बॉलिंग तो उनका बोनस स्किल सेट है, राइट। जो आप बोल रहे हो कि स्मॉल ग्राउंड है तो मत लो, बट स्मॉल ग्राउंड है तो वो मार भी सकते हैं ना। मतलब हो भी सकता है कि वो रैश शॉट खेल के आउट हो जाए, ऐसा नहीं कह रहा हूँ, बट वो रिस्क आप जीएल में ले सकते हो। बट हम जो टीम दे रहे हैं वो मिनी जीएल और स्मॉल लीग के पर्सपेक्टिव में है, तो वहां पे उनको आई थिंक पूरा ड्रॉप करना थोड़ा ज्यादा रिस्की होगा।
बिल्कुल. लास्ट गेम देखा था, मोइन अली could have been out so many times पर हुए नहीं,
हम्म।
और दोनों 50 मार के गए. तो
कैचिंग।
अगेन it is the same as happened yesterday with Butler and Samilaka Russell also. सॉल्ट भी जल्दी आउट हो सकते थे, नहीं हुए. तो ये सारी पिक्स ऐसी हैं कि अगर आप सेफ नहीं जाओगे तो आप बाय द एंड ऑफ द मैच बोलोगे यार क्यों मैंने फोकट में रिस्क ली. और अगर
हम्म।
जाओगे और नहीं चलेगा तो भी आपको विल लाइक अरे मे भी रिस्क ले लेना चाहिए था. तो इसीलिए मैं बोलता हूँ चाहिए तो दो टीम के साथ खेलो, इन्वेस्टमेंट अकॉर्डिंगली करो, ताकि आप दोनों अपने सारे आइडियाज एक्सप्लोर करो. देखो आपके लिए कौन सी आइडिया चलती है, आपके लिए गट फील वाला कॉल ज्यादा चलता है या डेटा वाला कॉल ज्यादा चलता है. सो यू विल बी एबल टू फाइंड व्हाट वर्क्स बेस्ट फॉर यू.
यस, एंड इफ यू, अगर आप स्मॉल लीग खेल रहे हो एंड आपका समझो अली नहीं भी चला, लिविंगस्टन नहीं भी चला, तो आपको उसमें हार्म नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बाकी सब भी उनको लेके ही बैठे होंगे, तो ज्यादा इतना
या
फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा आपको।
हाँ, पर अगर दोनों के कैच ड्रॉप हो गए और दोनों 40-40 मार के गए तो अपन विनिंग जोन तो छोड़ो, उनके आजू बाजू में भी नहीं रहेंगे.
Last minute fantasy woes are back for me. Won for most of the game and losing by less than 10 points in the last few balls. All we can say is Harsh, just stick in there and just
Yeah,
back the players that you're backing, because if you're losing by that margin, then it's just purely luck. So you should not overthink it too much.
बिल्कुल. I think it's one of the things that we've been saying. Okay, understand the difference between losing by your skills and losing by luck. This is not losing by skills. This is losing by a margin of error that's very big in 100. और मतलब बिग फॉर देम स्मॉल फॉर अस. उन्हें नहीं फर्क पड़ता बट अब हमारे टीम को बहुत फर्क पड़ता है तो हैंग इन देयर द बिग वन माइट आल्सो बी अराउंड द कॉर्नर हु नोस.
Yes, mention three differential pick options in daily life. So, sir, today's differential we already mentioned Chris Benjamin if we feel like his batting number is better. Harry Brook we'll surely try in quite a few of our teams. And last pick if there's any off spin option that's going to play from the Superchargers or if David Visa comes back.
बिल्कुल. I think see what you have to understand is differential picks are not always going to be working in this particular tournament. It's not working that way. In this particular tournament, the combination is a differential option. Now, Jake Lintott, Parkinson, हो गया, Tom Hartley, है. All these guys are great players, but they're not getting more than one wicket. तो
Hmm.
आपका differential player, it's not working out as much as sometimes the safe players are working. So sometimes just going one thing that I feel I am also guilty of कि मैं बहुत बार ये करता हूँ कि मैं रिस्क लेता हूँ ताकि सामने वाला ना जीते. I think it should be the other way around. Let the other guy take risk to beat you, so that you should make what you feel very strongly about. Or differential pick आपका visualization है. How you think the game will happen, let that be differential as compared to what मतलब जरूरत से ज्यादा रिस्क भी मत लो वैसा.
Yep, and many a times we prioritize the fact कि if we drop XYZ player, that XYZ player will not work. चलो ठीक है, that player didn't work, but did your replacement player give you more points than that XYZ player? Because if that guy scored 20 and your replacement scored only 10, or if he did not take a wicket, then the whole risk becomes pointless. So that is one thing to think
Yeah,
about whenever you take a chance.
बिल्कुल. या तो फिर
Faf
बेस्ट
can
दो ऑप्शन दो टीम के साथ खेलो, इन्वेस्ट अकॉर्डिंगली एंड सी हाउ इट वर्क्स आउट.
Yep, that's always the better option. Faf can be good captaincy,
Yeah,
vice captaincy choice because no left arm pacer in Birmingham. So yes, we mentioned 2 points about Faf. One is that there's no bowling threat to him in perspective, but the second point is also that he does not have a great record on this ground. So which one will work in his favor today is a key point for us to see. So maybe you can try that scenario in a few teams, and in another few teams you can like leave him altogether if that
yeah,
first inning debacle hits again.
yeah.
Cricket has changed due to fantasy. We are seeing multiple leagues and even sometimes in international that the games are not happening before. Can anything happen at any time? So yeah, we were discussing this in the last session itself that now there's no fifth or sixth bowler or eighth bowler. Now every guy who's except for the guy who's probably keeping, and that also in certain leagues is not the case, but yeah, I guess you have to consider 10 bowling options nowadays while making your team.
Yeah, I think the one way to also realize this is people are actually moving on from the traditional way of playing and planning a particular game. I think 100 में हमने भी इसके बारे में पहले भी बात करी है कि teams are now starting to find a way to stay ahead of the game in terms of the opposition as well. Now, you and me are spending time reading both the teams. The teams are going to play are also doing that. They also want to break the pattern so that the opposing team cannot plan exactly how they want to function, which is why they are being proactive by throwing different things at different times of the of year. Which is why you see someone like a Stubbs bowling, him taking 2 wickets, him getting Glenn Maxwell getting James Vince out. तो ऐसी सब चीजें यूजुअल सिनेरियो में नहीं होती, but because teams are happy to try out options because they want to be ahead of the game. When India played T20I series in Ireland or the one that they played last, they were happy to change the batting order and everything because they're happy to try things out for them. So I think whenever we pick these leagues, it's important to understand what is the motive behind that particular change. Now, the test match that just happened was a perfect example. वहां पे कुछ मस्ती नहीं हुई. So the longer the game, the lesser are the chance of these random things happening. But वहां पे भी Joe Root first time in 6 years he's got out to single digits in both innings. first time in 6 years, and he was my captain, and I lost great profit because of that one pick. That's okay. I can't do anything about it. तो ये सब इट्स पार्ट ऑफ द गेम, बट अगेन इट्स व्हाट हाइलाइट्स क्या लीग आपको खेलनी चाहिए, कौन सी लीग कौन से प्लेटफॉर्म पे खेलनी चाहिए और कौन से टाइप के लीग्स खेलने चाहिए.
Yup. And now that you're talking about the test match, there is a question about the test match itself. And to be honest, I've not seen much of it, so you'll answer this one better.
I think England lacked pace, and it's been a problem for them for some time now. Whenever they don't have Archer, Wood, Stone, they do struggle. They are always helped by two senior pros who are working overtime to get them those wickets. Even today morning, I think if you saw the game, it felt very stupid to see them bowling short balls at the tail enders when they should have just stuck to the good length and got them out. They gave away those 50, 60 runs, removed those runs. Maybe England could have had a small lead also matlab, in terms of covering, and they would have given South Africa a target of around 150, 200. So these things happen. I think what's the difference was the pace in terms of what South Africa offer. Nokia was bowling above 150. I read a tweet where this is the first time in last one decade that England are facing a bowling of that pace, like once in that decade. So you can understand the difference that England has had to face in terms of the options.
Yes. And I didn't win GL यार. I just came 18th miss हो गया and गिडी ने खराब कर दिया पूरा. Uran started bowling sometimes Faf, no standard batting orders. Yeah, now that's what we were talking about, right? That nowadays even the keeper has to be considered as a bowling option. So there's not
Yeah.
much you can do.
See, Puran का first time he bowled was definitely a surprise, but उसके बाद it tells you that you have to be ready for that. कि अगर ऑफ स्पिनर है सामने, लेफ्ट हैंडेड है, तो पूरन आके बॉलिंग करेगा, बट ही डिडंट डू दैट इन द रिसेंट टू सीरीज. सो इट टेल्स यू व्हाट स्टेट ऑफ माइंड द टीम इज इन एट दैट पर्टिकुलर टाइम, कितने ऑप्शंस है. और नो स्टैंडर्ड बैटिंग ऑर्डर्स तो आई थिंक पहले से रहा है. अभी sorry, now just because we play so much fantasy we realize this far more often, and when it doesn't work for us. तो आई थिंक समथिंग दैट वी डिस्कस इन वन ऑफ द लाइव्स एज वेल, कि अगर सॉल्ट और बटलर अच्छा चलते हैं तो मैटसन इवेंट्स दे ऑल गेट डिमोटेड एंड यू गेट रसल एंड स्टब्स अप. बट हाउ डू यू फाइंड द फॉर्म कि भाई अगर कल एक अर्ली विकेट चला जाता तो फिर भी लास्ट दो गेम में मैटसन इवेंट्स नहीं चले. सो इट इज व्हाट द गेम इज राइट नाउ. वो गेम आगे बढ़ चुका है और हमें भी उसके साथ फटाक से आई थिंक आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा. मे बी टाइम टू चेंज द वे ऑल्सो वी प्ले in terms of maybe in this league's head to head is better. Who knows?
Is there any specific time to join the contest? Like, as if we join close to the deadline, people bring more teams, which are not the case, and they're not their own copy paste team. So there are two things here. When we initially started playing fantasy, we would join leagues early with the thought process that people will not change their team last minute, and that still happens to an extent. Maybe 5 to 6% people still miss that, so you get a slight advantage there. But then there's also the other scenario that there are other, like, that other 20% set of people like me who are thinking like that. So you might also get like a higher level sort of team in that scenario, while last minute you'll like either fall in a pack or rise in a pack, because like you're mentioning, there are many people who copy paste teams from specific places. So it depends on your priority, right? Like if you feel like you want that start wala advantage and you're confident about your team, then you should go early. While if you're sort of confused, then it's okay to join last minute. But these are all hypotheses. It's not something that's scientifically proven for us to decide.
I see everything works differently for different people. I just go by simple logic of when I expect the deadline. When I expect the team, sorry, not the deadline. Agar if I know that I have enough time after the deadline to join, maybe I'll keep a few leagues for then. Also depends on the amount of confidence I have in that game. अगर टेस्ट मैच होता है तो मैं एक दो दिन पहले से ज्वाइन करना चालू करता हूँ, बिकॉज देयर आई एम 100% श्योर कि मैं वो गेम मिस नहीं करने वाला हूँ एंड आई एम श्योर अबाउट द गेम. बट वही अगर 100 है या अगर TNPL है तो फिर अगर मुझे गट फील कॉल अच्छा आ रहा है तो फिर मैं पोस्ट टॉस ज्वाइन करूंगा, नहीं तो आई ज्वाइन इन एडवांस. एंड आई थिंक इन एडवांस इट इज ऑलवेज बेस्ट टू ज्वाइन प्री टॉस इज व्हाट आई फील.
And one thing here is if you're playing like CPL or any such league जहाँ पे लोग सो रहे होंगे ना तभी advance में join करो. When the game is at 3 in the night, 4 in the night, but that's provided you know that
You
your
also know.
alarm is working. Because that's happened with me where out of 40 games I've joined in advance and over smartness में 3 बार तो मैं भी नहीं उठा हूँ. तो मतलब you have to be sure that your wake up rate is more than your sleep rate. But
बिल्कुल.
yeah, I guess we'll close the discussion at that. I know that few of you have few other questions. We'll be happy to take them offline, and
Yeah.
the few of them are quite elaborate. So sorry we can't take them right now, but happy to take them offline at any point. So thank you so much everyone for tuning in, and hopefully you guys have another good game.
Yes. Please have a good game. Take care. Happy winnings.